Hello and welcome to Me, the Wife and Wrexham AFC.
A weekly podcast and YouTube channel where we discuss all things Wrexham AFC from the point of view of long-term fans and new fans.
So sit back, put your feet up, relax and let's get stuck in. Hello and welcome to episode 140. My voice has gone a little bit, I've just realised now.
Do you know what? We always have big games. You always say that.
I know, but
always.
It's gone a little bit. Sorry. Welcome to episode 147 of Me, the Wife and Wrexham AFC. Oh, can we breathe now?
Not really.
No.
No, it's still a bit surreal.
Yeah, it's a bit odd, isn't it?
It is a bit.
So what's on this week's show, Siân?
Well, what else can we talk about but back to back and the quiz? I think that's pretty much that's going to take most of the show up.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Pretty much. I think we probably might have to explain a little something. So if you're listening to this...
Doesn't matter.
It might sound a little bit different. We're not 100% sure. If you're watching, it obviously looks very different. The main reason for that is that we've got our new logo. We have our new logo, so our studio, we've been sort of kicked out of our studio a little bit. It's been redecorated, all the new equipment's going in, the logo's going up on the wall, everything's happening. We were hoping to get it done for today, but it's just sort of gone out of our reach a little bit. And
other things kind of got in the way.
Yeah, little things got in the way, didn't they?
Little things like football.
So you might hear, we've got the door open to outside, so you might hear some birds. Our dog is in the room, so our dog might bark at some point.
Or cry, because she's just had an operation, so
yeah.
She's a bit needy and clingy at the moment, so I'm surprised she's not sat on here with us, but anyway.
Yeah, but we're hoping this is just for 1 week, maximum 2 weeks like this. I do quite like it, though, sitting on a sofa.
It's comfier.
It is comfier, I do like it, but 1 week, definitely.
Obviously.
2 weeks, perhaps. We'll just have to wait and see. But
our decorator needs to pull his finger out. Only joking.
Yeah. So, I suppose we just go straight into it, really.
Yeah, Charlton.
How do you feel today? Because I'm not sure it's quite sunk in yet for me. I think it's still... I keep remembering and going, oh... that happened. That happened on Saturday. How do you feel today?
Well, like I said, it's still very surreal. I've been looking at comments on, obviously, we're the first football team, British football team. Would you say British football?
No, in the English leagues.
In the English league, so in the English leagues, we are the first team ever to get back to back. But the amount of people that were saying, Wrexham aren't the first people that have ever done it. We've done it. And they're like, no, you haven't.
Yeah, well, right. So, okay, just to clarify here. It has been done by other teams, right? We are the first to do it in the top 5 levels of English football. So the professional level of English football. So there are other teams lower down.
Oh no, these were mentioning teams that are in the championships already.
Oh right, no.
Premier League teams and all that jazz.
They definitely haven't. We're the first to have done that in the league system. In the English leagues, there are people, like I say, lower down the leagues that have done it. But yeah, so that's why people get a little bit tetchy about it and going, well, we did it. Yeah, but you're playing in the 9th tier of the English pyramid, We're not talking about semi-professional teams. We're talking about fully professional, top 5 leagues, promotion into League 2, into League 1, all that sort of stuff. That's what we're talking about. First team to have ever done that.
There's been quite a few nice comments from, fans from championship teams.
Yeah.
I think there was a Leicester fan that said congratulations. There was the Premier League team Liverpool. They said They said, Liverpool themselves and say congratulations. No. It was a Liverpool fan. But yeah, it's we've had. I think the I think the fact that we've like obviously got back to back to back, I think it's very much parted people's opinions.
Oh, of course it has.
Not Wrexham fans, obviously. We're all like we've got mega chufties that we're going into this.
Mega chufties.
That we're going into the championship. But there are people that, you know, like from opposing fans who are, I'm not saying every fan, because we have had some really nice comments, but there are other fans who are just like, and it just seems like we're plastic, we're not really Welsh. There was one comment that said people, this isn't personally to us, this is for the whole of the Welsh, you know, contingent. Like, we've got no teeth. And it's like, what? I said, I've still got all of my teeth, thank you very much. And it's like, you know, jobless, got a full-time job, thank you. Yeah, it's just, some of the comments are ridiculous. And it just proves that some people are jealous of our owners, of how far we've come in the last 3 seasons. And it's just like, you know, we've had a message off Jay, who's a Birmingham fan, who obviously, as we all know, they were the champions of League One. He's messaged us saying congratulations. We've had a Wigan fan messaging us, Barry, who's a friend of the show as well. Yeah, he's congratulated us. So, you know, like I said, there are some fans who seem quite bitter, but I would say the majority of fans have been quite congratulatory.
Yeah, I've seen nice messages and horrible ones. I've seen nice ones from Stockport fans even.
Yes, I had a message from a Stockport fan.
Yeah, I've seen, like all the ones you mentioned, I've seen all them. And, you know, Charlton, there was Charlton fans who said well done. And then there's just people who just don't like it, you know. And there was a few who I'd seen had said, look, let's get this. They've done a really good job at the club, you know, and the people who are just horrible are just jealous that it's not happening. Would they take it? And everyone else hate them? Of course they would, every day of the week. So, you know, it's one of them, and you just got to take that. You have just got to take it. It's
fair play to the Charlton fans, though. The majority of them, I mean, obviously some left, but the majority of them, when we all invaded the pitch, there was people in the stands in the away end, and they were clapping. And I thought, you know what, I'm not sure whether I could stomach it and whether I could, you know, but the fact that, you know,
they probably couldn't get out.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
so maybe what you going to do?
No, but they didn't have to clap though, did they?
No, that's true. Look, let's talk about Saturday in a bit more depth. So it was set up quite nicely for us, wasn't it? So Wycombe were the early game on Saturday. They were away at Leyton Orient, and we just needed to set up the opportunity for us to potentially get promoted. We needed them to drop points, so either lose or draw. We were adamant we weren't going to watch it. We weren't going to watch it
until it got to 12:30.
Yeah, and we were sat there and we were watching something else, and we were sitting there watching that. I think it got to 33 minutes past 12, and I turned to you and I go, are we just ignoring this game's happening? And then you crumbled and said, I want to watch it. And then I crumbled straight after and went, okay, let's watch it.
Yeah.
And then we put it on. Do you know why I didn't want to watch it? I think because I knew the level of nerves I was going to have later in the day.
That could just make it worse.
I didn't want the level of nerves to be stretched out across the whole day. But we ended up watching it. We got very excited when Leyton Orient scored. So Leyton Orient won that game 1-0, set it up for us perfectly, a win, and we would be promoted. Just to add a little bit more pressure, Stockport kicked off at 3:00.
Yeah.
They beat Lincoln 3-2, which moved them ahead of Charlton. So that meant a Charlton win against us would have put all 4 teams, us, Wycombe, Stockport and Charlton, in the mix for that one final promotion spot on the last day of the season.
Which is even worse than...
Yeah, so that added even more pressure. And I just couldn't relax all day. All day.
I don't think I've seen Ryan. I think he's like worn a hole into our new carpet because he was pacing up and down that much.
Yeah, I think 5:30 made it worse though.
It did, like, looking at the clock and stuff like that, it did seem to kind of take ages for us to, like, leave and for 5:30 to come around.
Yeah, it definitely did. And I think it was perfect and horrible all rolled into one, because it was perfect for us because we knew with Wickham kicking off earlier, we knew what we needed to do.
Yeah.
But having to wait all day for it just made it absolutely horrendous. But we knew, like I said, a win and we would be promoted. So it was that just horrible nerves and excitement all rolled into one.
I knew it was going to happen because of my prediction. I predicted we were going to win 3-0.
Yeah, you did.
And we did.
Yeah, I think I sort of felt like it was such a weird feeling. You know, once Wickham lost, I didn't doubt. But like, I don't know. I didn't really. I was like, this was happening now. I felt like this is happening. And I don't know what I would have done if it wouldn't have happened on Saturday, because in my head, everything had built towards it is definitely happening today.
A home win for the promotion. You know, there's nothing.
No.
You don't want to think of going down to the last game, do you? You don't, you know.
No, not away from home
exactly.
Anyway.
So the fact that it happened at home, we could all, you know, get on the pitch and stuff like that. It was just... and it's just, I don't know, I said this last season when we promoted, it's just something special about invading the pitch.
At the end of a game, not just Siân doesn't do it regularly.
Yeah,
during games.
Because I don't fancy getting a ban. But no. There was, you know, we waited. We didn't run on the pitch straight away, even when the last whistle went. We waited because we had our nephew with us, and obviously our son Alfie. And you know, I didn't want them to get bloody crumpled. But your dad was off.
Yeah, he was.
He was off, and he was just like strolling on the pitch. And before the game started, we sit by this this man. I really feel bad because I can't remember what his name is.
Maybe find out.
Yeah, maybe. And he's 82 years old, and he speaks to us at every game. We actually met them when we went to the hospitality, didn't we? The one
for the Dover game.
Yeah, when I won that for the Dover game. And since then, they sit by us, and we speak to them all the time. And he said to me, he said, "Go on then, what's your prediction?" And I went 3-0, and he went, "You're living in a fantasy world." And I went, "Hey," I said, don't you doubt it." And then he said, "I'm 82 years old," and he said, "I never thought I would live to see them get into the championship." And that just melted my heart. I thought, oh, do you know what? There is so many older generation, people of the older generation who've been coming to these games, like your dad, since, I don't know, my dad as well. My dad's been going since he was 14.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was away with the army, so he couldn't go to every single game. Doesn't make him a true fan, though. And, you know, it's just so nice for them to, you know, to have seen not one, not two, but 3 promotions.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people die happy now.
Wow.
No, you know what I mean, though. I think...
Yeah, I do know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Let's hope everyone listening knows what you mean.
Yes, let's hope. But yeah, so the atmosphere was absolutely...
Well, before that, really, yeah, the atmosphere was amazing on Saturday, but, you know...
Oh, yeah, go into the game.
Yeah, we you know, talking about atmosphere, prior to getting in the ground... we decided, so there was a march from the Wrexham Lager Club. So anyone who's been to Wrexham or is from Wrexham or, you know, will know where the Wrexham Lager Club is. A lot of, you know, we do have a lot of international fans, so people may not know. I
think people know the Wrexham. I think when they come over,
they're not going to know where it is my point, well, you know.
Yeah, majority might, but yeah, some might not. Some people who were born in Wrexham might not know where it is.
That's true. So there was everyone congregated outside the Wrexham Lager Club, and there was a march up to the ground before kick-off at 4:10. We did that. Everyone was singing in the streets, marching up. We did something a little sneaky, didn't we? Because we'd always planned to march up, you know, as one to the ground, and we got there at just after 4 o'clock,
Yeah.
and they were going to be setting off at 4:10 to march up to the ground and sing and, start generating that atmosphere before we got in the ground. We saw how many people there were, and we thought, if all of these people get to the ground at the same time, it's going to be bedlam. So what we did is we positioned ourselves at the front of the march to make sure we were one of the first to get to the ground. But it was great. You mentioned the atmosphere. The atmosphere getting there was amazing. We got inside, and the atmosphere inside was amazing as well. It was at fever pitch, before the game started. And it is that sort of expectation. I think everyone felt it like today's the day. And like I say, if Saturday wasn't the day, I think it would have crushed me a little bit, because it felt like it should be. We saw quite a few clowns.
Do you know what? Weirdly, right? Your dad pointed out that there was a clown, and I thought, do you know what? It didn't even click in my head what the the thingy was for that clown.
Yeah.
And then I realised when we were singing in the stands, there was a few songs that we incorporated the word circus.
I think
it clicked.
You say a few songs. Almost every song had the words changed to incorporate circus. So, for anyone who doesn't know, we did mention it last week. Nathan Jones, the Charlton manager, when he was talking about this game, he said, "Oh, we're going to the circus," and I think what he meant was the sort of media circus that surrounds Wrexham.
That's what he backtracked with.
And I think he probably meant that. I think that's what he probably meant. But he did say it he backtracked, and he said, what I meant was, there's a lot of, media surrounding the club. But when he said it, he did say it so flippantly. And it got everyone's back up. Everyone, we had people dressed as clowns. We were singing songs with circus in there,
football in a circus.
Football in a circus
instead of football in a library.
So much better. Love that one. Better. And then, so I think that might stick.
Oh, I love it.
So there was that, and Nathan Jones, I think what he pretty much did our team talk for us. Yes. Because all of the fans got on board the circus thing. And, they were all for it. And then, all the chanting that was happening, the players would be well aware of what had been said, during the week. And it almost did the team talk for us, I think, a little bit. What he tried to do is a little bit of mind games prior to the game. And he failed miserably.
He did do mind whatever, but it backfired on him, because the mind tricks that he did play obviously had a positive effect on us rather than the negative effect that he was trying to get. Yeah,
he did. He got a lot of abuse at the game, and it's quite sad in a way, because he's a fellow Welshman, So but he said the wrong thing, trying to sort of to throw us off a little bit, and it's as it turned out, it was the thing that spurred everybody on. And like I say, I can't guarantee the players were spurred on by that, but I do find it hard to believe that they wouldn't have been, hearing something like that and going, okay, we'll show him. Yeah. We'll show him coming to the circus.
Yeah, exactly.
And see what he thinks. Rob and Ryan were there.
They were. Blake was there as well.
Yeah, she was indeed. And I think that just added to it, really, didn't it? That when Rob and Ryan turn up together, you expect something big. Yeah. It hasn't always happened in the past. A few people have sort of spoilt the party a little bit when both of them have been there. But it just added more fuel to this is happening, this is happening, this is happening.
It was funny, because when we were all singing Football in a Circus, I turned round, and one of the people that was with Rob and Ryan, I don't know who it was, don't know if it's a relation of either of them, but he was singing as well. Yeah, and it was just such an amazing atmosphere. And there's always a good atmosphere in the ground, but you think with all the nerves that were happening on Saturday, you'd think, do you know what? It's going to be intense. People are going to be a bit quieter. But yeah, I don't know why I doubted us, because we were just as loud.
Yeah, we are completely. Look, to talk about the game a little bit, because we should do. Completely unchanged lineup from Blackpool. Not really a shock, I don't think. I think the only maybe 50-50 in my head was, is Dan Scarr going to start again? Or is Owen O'Connell going to come back in? That was the only one that I thought maybe could go. I thought it could go either way on Saturday, but I'm with you. I do like Dan Scarr. Talked about him a little bit last week. I do think he lacks a little bit of pace. So if you get like a
don't we all?
yeah, certainly. But I think, maybe you get a pacey striker up against him. Maybe he would struggle a little bit, but I'm sure you adapt to that and you do something a little bit different. But it's hard to imagine why you would change it after Blackpool, because Blackpool was the first game in a while where everyone come out of that game going, played well.
Yeah.
Played well today.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been stupid to have changed anything, and you just got to roll with, that team that was working in Blackpool, and just trusting them that they keep that momentum going. And Phil did. And I think straight from the first whistle, we were just on it.
Yeah.
On it, on top, I think.
No hoofballs. There's a couple, but they were necessary. It wasn't.
We were playing football.
Exactly.
Which was nice, and we looked
like a championship team.
Well, yeah. Calm, composed, no headless chickens. It was. I think fair play to the players. I'm not sure how I would deal with that, me personally, knowing it's such a big prize at the end. Knowing that, the atmosphere that's been generated in that ground, to stay calm and not run around and just think, I've got to do everything all at once. And, just to stay calm, to stay composed, and just to play in a high pressure situation.
Yeah.
I think fair play to him. I think I needed a goal to settle me down, because I just felt so highly strung.
And nobody better.
No,
it wasn't Stephen Fletcher.
No,
but it was Ollie Rathbone. Oh my God, he pulled off an absolute screamer.
Well, I think that was definitely something Parky must have noticed prior, because they were so slow closing them down from the short corner, and it came into the middle. And it looked like a screamer. I watched a few of the replays. It was very close to the keeper. He didn't have to massively dive to get it. I think it's gone through maybe about 3 or 4 players, defenders, strikers, who've just sort of dodged out the way at the last minute. And the keeper just hasn't seen it. But he's got just a decent amount of power on it. And, when it's going through a sort of sea of bodies like that, it's not just that the keeper can't see it, but it might get a nick. So it's always, always worth hitting it. And I felt good. I felt good at that point. I thought, okay, another one just to settle me down a little bit more. And 3 minutes we had to wait for another one. I've seen Sam Smith's interview. So his first goal, he said that him and Matty James have been talking quite a bit since he came to the club about that sort of little dink ball over the top. And, Matty's obviously got that in his locker, that he can play them nice little balls over the top. And he did that, dropped over Sam's shoulder, great goal, loved it. And it felt really good when you were in the ground.
Yeah.
And I've watched it back, and it's really good watching it back as well. Great goal. Same as Blackpool as well. 2 goals in 3 minutes.
Yeah. The only problem with that is, having your second goal in the 18th minute.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, we've still got the rest of the first half to go. Then we've got to come back and hold it for 45 minutes. And it's like, I think, when we get late goals, it's nerve-wracking. But when you get early goals as well, it's like, oh my God. So yeah, it was like the 18th minute, and it was like, we've got 2 goals now. Let's just hold on to them. Let's not now concede.
Yeah.
Because literally that could take our chances of promoting away from us if they.
It can snowball because all I ever think when you're sitting there and you're 2-0 up, all I'm ever thinking is, well, if they got 1 now, then the momentum's with them, and they are then only 1 goal behind us. So they could ride that momentum, ride that wave a little bit, and then before you know it, out of the blue, it's 2-2.
Yeah, which has happened to us.
And then what happens when you've been 2 goals up and now you're level again? Then maybe you feel a bit, you lose your momentum, and you lose a bit of a sort of like, you're like, oh God, I can't believe we've let this slip away. And the other team who scored the 2, all of a sudden they're motoring now, and they're like, right, let's get a third, So it's so stupid because you're sitting there 2-0 up, and you're like, well, let's enjoy being 2-0 up. No. No, it could be 2-1, then it'll be 2-2. Oh my God, we're going to lose this game 3-2.
And I think that's obviously what goes through the players' minds as well. It's like, we can't, because we have been, our players have, for whatever reason, we've been on the the front foot, and we've been winning, and then all of a sudden they take their foot off the gas.
Yeah.
And then we go away with either just 1 point or no points. But I think the players knew that they had to keep momentum going, and because it was a lot. I know we've still got another game to play next on Saturday, but I think the memo was, get us over the line today.
Yeah.
And then Lincoln will just be
a party.
A party, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Party.
Look, we made it to half-time at 2-0. Which was nice. I went inside. I watched the highlights from the first half on the TV.
People were singing.
Yeah, everything was. It felt like right. I was starting to believe it, and going, right, it's going to happen. And then I started to think about sort of full time and what we're going to do, and because people always and I was thinking about that at half time, which is silly really, because the disappointment, the disappointment level would have gone through the roof.
Yeah,
would have been through the roof anyway, but it just would have made it so much worse. I was still a bit nervous, but definitely there was belief there that it was going to happen. I think we needed a third because just to, and then
cement things.
Yeah, I sort of felt like if we'd have got a third in the first 20 minutes of the second half, then all of the fans could have started enjoying it early and created a bit of a party atmosphere. But
I don't think we needed to create more of an atmosphere. I think we were pretty much there.
We had to wait until the 81st minute. It was a lovely cross from Max out on the right-hand side. Sam got his head on it. I think it deflected off a defender after he'd headed it, which sort of sent the keeper a little bit the wrong way. And then in the thing that impressed me, you'd mentioned Dan Scarn, how much you like him. I think the one thing that really sticks in my mind, and when something happens and you sort of go, I think I'll remember that for a long time. It was last seconds of the game, and Arthur came to collect the ball and sort of didn't collect it properly. It dropped.
Yep.
Dropped to a Charlton player, and he pretty much just had to put it in. And Dan Scarr literally put his body on the line, closed it down and blocked it off, and the ball went over the bar. And I think the ref blew the whistle pretty much straight after that.
I think so, yeah.
But that was one of them moments that you sort of go, I'll remember that, because it doesn't matter we were 3-0 up. He was going, no, you're not scoring. I want a clean sheet. And I think as a collective, I think that's what we do really well, is the sort of defensive side of things, because in the whole of I think the top 4 leagues, so Premier League, Championship, League 1, League 2, we are third for the most clean sheets in the league this season. The only 2 teams who have kept more clean sheets than us are the top 2 teams in the Championship. So Leeds United and Burnley. They're the only two who have kept more clean sheets than us. So that's a huge achievement in itself. I did put a post on X. I don't post very often.
No, he's not allowed. He does, he's supposed to go through me for social media. But I do spot the odd post now and again, and I have
very rare. But I did put it on a shared Sky's post about we had the third most clean sheets, and I posted on there and I said strikers win you games, but a defence gets you back to back to back. It's defences that get you promoted. Even when the goals aren't coming and you're wondering where the goals are going to come from, it's the defence that keeps you in games and ultimately gets you promoted, I think so. Well, that's what every defender out there will think, but strikers out there will disagree with that.
Yes,
but,
I'm sure they will.
This is such a difficult question, but did you have a man of the match on Saturday? Because I think it's very hard when a striker scores 2. I think it's very hard. I think it's harsh to not give it to them.
Yeah.
But you've got your own mind. So what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, man of the match for a team that got us promoted it's difficult to kind of
pick one.
But like you said, Sam Smith, he would deserve it. Ollie Rathbone, obviously, because he scored the first goal. I think James McLean stepped up. Dan Scarr stepped up. Max Cleworth was just, everybody was just on another level on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I think for argument's sake, I would just go with Sam Smith because he scored the 2 goals.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that they all deserved something from that, which they did.
Yeah, well, yeah, they got enough.
They got enough. Yeah.
They got enough.
I'm sure they get a little bonus as well for getting us promoted.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Like when horses win the Grand National, they get a bonus, don't they?
Yeah.
Not the actual horse, obviously.
No, I would. I'd probably say Sam Smith.
Yeah.
But I think
his second goal was Ryan Reynolds. There was an interview afterwards, and Rob and Sam were talking. I keep saying Rob. Sorry, Ryan and Rob were talking, and he basically called Sam Smith a beast.
Yeah.
And said that his kick, he's got his second goal.
Is that the header?
No.
Oh, his first goal, our second goal. Yes.
Yeah.
The kick. The scissor kick.
Yeah, but he said it was like a kung fu move or something like that.
Yeah.
But the fact that he called him a beast was quite funny. And another thing about Sam Smith, I noticed this ages ago, but he has got really broad shoulders, hasn't he?
Yeah. I thought you were going to say something about his teeth then. He's got very bright teeth.
No, I've not noticed his teeth. I haven't got that far.
You're just looking down to up.
No,
and you haven't made it to his face yet, no?
No, I just noticed that his shoulders were really broad, and I was like,
a Nathan Jones backtrack you did there. No.
Oh no, I'll stick to my guns. But I meant he just had
broad
shoulders, nothing else.
Yeah, he's 6'1" apparently.
Oh, who was he?
No, right. Look, I don't. It's so hard, right, to understand this. But I was looking at his stats pre-game now, and it says he's 6'1", and I'm sitting there going, like, I'm 6 foot, right? And I'm looking at him, and I'm going, there's no way he's taller than me. There is no. I might be wrong. If I stand next to Sam Smith, maybe he is. He does not look taller than me.
Yeah, but I think everybody doesn't look as tall as they actually are when.
And another thing with player stats, right? So. It's just to show the ridiculousness of these stats. So Matt Godden, who was Charlton's striker on Saturday, was getting marked by Dan Scarr. It fascinated me a little bit because they were both number 24. And I was just, that fascinated me for quite a bit of the game. And it sort of took my mind off the game for a little bit, just watching two 24s run around together. But anyway, I looked at, because I thought Matt Godden's small. And I thought, oh, maybe it's because Dan Scarr's tall. Mm-hmm. I looked at both of their stats while the game was going on. I don't apologise. I was trying to take my mind off the tense. And I looked, and they were, according to the stats, they are an inch different in height.
No.
They're about a foot different in height. So whoever does all these football stats, I'm sorry, but you need the sack.
Well, it's just giving the players an ego, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when it's blatantly obvious that Dan Scarr's like as tall as he is, and then you've got a player next to him who professes to be the same height, and they're clearly like one's up here and one's down there.
Yeah, ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
We were talking about Rob and Ryan being up in their little box that they've
Their little
got.
nest.
Their little nest at the top. They had a special guest on Saturday, though, who we've got to mention. So Archie White was there. Obviously, lots been said about him on social media. He got invited to training, and I think that really gave the players a boost in the week leading up, to sort of put everything into perspective that he's been going through, what he's been going through at such a young age, and he's a fighter, and he's getting through that. And it was just really nice to see him up there with Ryan and Rob and sort of waving, and he got a little chant during the game and everything, and it was great. I really liked that, and he got to go on the pitch at the end, didn't he?
He did.
Sorry, we all got to go on the pitch at the end. What I mean is, once they cleared the pitch.
Yeah, I think he'd been on there previously with his mum, I think, anyway, before Saturday's game. But yeah, I mean, for him to witness such an amazing event, and
and be part of it in such a way
and
as well.
sitting where he was sitting with Rob and Ryan, and all their family and friends and all that kind of stuff. I think it's an experience that nobody would ever forget, but a young boy to experience that, I just think and this is what I love about the club, and Rob and Ryan, they're just so inclusive of everybody.
Yeah.
And they definitely, their hearts are just like so big. And I know when they're coming down, they come in, when they're here and they go on the pitch and they walk down the stand, I know that they always go down to the quiet zone. And some people may get annoyed by that. Well, why aren't they stopping to say hello to us and stuff like that?
They do in general,
They
though.
do, but we've got to understand that they have got a limited time. They haven't got hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. It's just like when the players are warming up before the game, that you've got people shouting them to come over and take their photos. And I'm sure that they would love to just take photographs all day long, but they've kind of, I think they put themselves into the zone. I just think it's, I just think our club's amazing.
It is, though.
I'm kind of going off on a tangent. I do apologise.
No,
but
one thing I wanted to ask you is because I've seen a lot about it on social media, and I sort of agree a little bit, but it's a lot of clubs taking the mick a little bit, fans of other clubs, not necessarily out of us, just out of the sort of situation in a way. I saw lots of people, because we obviously, at the end, we got the little promoted sign and lifted a trophy and did the champagne and all that sort of thing. What are your thoughts on winning a trophy and lifting a trophy for coming second? Just asking your opinion.
Why not?
Okay.
Why not? Why should, at the end of the day, it might not necessarily have been purely because we came, we promoted. It's because on Saturday, Wrexham Football Club made history. And
no, it's because we finished second.
No,
that's why we got a trophy.
I know, but the fact
what you're saying is that's why people are asking, why do you get a trophy for second?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it is. I think people are genuinely, why do you get a trophy for second?
Because it's a big, it's a big deal. I don't get.
Yeah, it was just it opened.
I want a bus as well. I want a back-to-back bus. So you know, and I think because we are history makers, I think it's a very good opportunity to do the bus again. Yeah, we came second, but we've made history, so why not? Why not get a bus?
Yeah, I think that's a way of getting around it, going, why are you having a bus when you finish second? I think a way of getting around that is, we've
made history.
We've made history.
Exactly.
Yeah. So possibly. I don't know if you've seen this. Rob, when Rob was on the pitch, somebody with a camera, official at the club, asked him, he said, can you give us one word for how you describe today? And he said 3 words. No, he did, but he did. And his 3 words were, have you seen this?
No.
His 3 words were not done yet. And he goes, 3 words. So, and...
Well, back to back to back, you had to have 3 words, didn't you?
Back to back to back is 5 words, isn't it?
No. Yes, I get that, but 3 seasons in a row.
Right,
3
yeah.
words.
Yeah, sorry, I think I just put my knee in shot then when I scratched my foot, and I've been exposed on YouTube that I wear pajama bottoms when we're recording this. I had to set the camera up so carefully that I didn't get the trousers in, then I've just put them in. So, and I felt it made me feel quite excited that it's like...
I don't underestimate it either.
We're not done yet.
No, of
we're
course
not. And we'll talk about the championship a little bit more shortly. One person I did want to shout out.
Yeah.
There are obviously lots of players who have been part of back to back to back.
Mm-hmm.
There are players in our squad who've been part of back to back, and there are a few players who have just won their first promotion with Wrexham. I think Wrexham. Special mention, I think, who we saw him hobbling around a little bit on Saturday celebrating, is Andy Cannon, because one thing that a lot of people won't realise about Andy Cannon is that is Andy Cannon's 4th promotion in 4 seasons. He has won 4 promotions in the last 4 seasons, and the reason for that is prior to him coming to Wrexham, he played for Stockport. When Stockport got promoted, he then came to Wrexham and has done another 3 in a row.
I don't remember Andy Cannon playing for Stockport.
I do, weirdly. He came... I remember they came to the Racecourse, and I remember him, and he run the show in the first half, and then they took him off at half time, which was really odd because he absolutely run the show, and then we signed him. So
that's why.
I think so. I don't think it certainly didn't hurt his cause playing the way he did, but it was really odd that they took him off at half time.
There was that Parky and Stockport manager were standing on the sideline going, do you fancy...
take him off now.
Do you fancy doing a deal for Andy Cannon?
Yeah, look, we've had so many comments. We did a live at the end of the game.
Well, you did. I was off.
I
was off.
Not so much Sham, but I did, because I do feel I feel like a bit of a, because we do this podcast, I do feel a bit of a duty to all of the people who listen to us, who aren't lucky enough to be there, or weren't lucky enough to be there on Saturday, and aren't lucky enough to have ever been to the Racecourse. So I do feel a little bit of a duty sometimes, where a lot of people say to me, don't worry about doing a live running on the pitch, just enjoy it. But I want to share it with everyone live in the moment, and I want them to sort of experience that with us. So we did a little bit of a short live. Look, we've had so many comments, that I've picked a few, but they're still coming in now. So I do apologise. Don't think bad of us if I don't read your comment out, because we just had to pick maybe like 20% of them and just put them in. We had Woody Windsor back to back, as you predicted in the documentary, Ryan. Should never have doubted you. No one should ever doubt me, ever. Cheers from Alberta, Canada. JPH, congrats on another amazing season. Unbelievable.
Dewi Davis, absolutely brilliant scenes, pal.
I'm not sure who that is, but I went to school with a Dewi Davis, so that might be you. I'm not sure if that is you, but
is that Gwendav's
brother? Yes.
One who used to teach in Alfie School.
Yes.
Yeah. Saffron, unbelievable. What a complete display of football. Also on the Sky Sports coverage, I believe we are 3rd or 4th place for clean sheets.
Yes. Yeah. We are.
League One.
No, in the whole.
I didn't know what to put on the end.
That's why I cut it out, because we'd already put that. Talked about that.
Okay then.
Clever me.
Yeah.
Sharky, back to back. 1-2-3-0. I knew you'd be on the pitch today. think we all did a little bit.
Linda, up the town, unbelievable, amazing, and they were all in capital letters. So glad I got to watch it live today. I'd admit it, there were tears of joy here in St. Louis. Is it Louis? St. Louis?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, sorry, St. Louis. Phil Williams, well done, Wrexham. Glad you join us. Let's show the Championship what they are in for with 2 powerhouses in there. KRO, so obviously it's a Birmingham fan, that.
Yeah. Swiss guy, I told you they win with a clean sheet. What a game, what a day, fantastic. Like I say, I just had to stop putting them in the end.
Yeah.
Peter Langenecker, he also messaged and said that I'd said it in the documentary last year.
Oh, God, will you please stop giving Ryan a big head?
We had a comment off Lee Bradley as well.
A Tranmere fan.
Dirty Tranmere fan.
Yeah.
He said congratulations. Look, for anybody who is newish to this podcast, we keep going all the time. So just because the season's coming to an end, we will still have a podcast every week, every Monday. We don't stop because we love it so much, and we do it every week, and we always manage to fill it with lots of good information and different things. It's really handy for us that we've been promoted, because we can obviously talk about all of the teams that we're going to face next year.
So if you could do the same next season,
yeah,
then
just
that'll
keep
make
doing
it easy.
that.
Yeah, make
and
it
then
easy.
qualify for the Champions League, so we can talk about the Champions
Yeah.
League teams as well. That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great.
Just a small favour.
Yeah. Look, if you do want to get in touch with us, you can comment on this video if you're watching on YouTube. You can click contact the show at the bottom of the description if you're listening to this as a podcast. Alternatively, social media. Blue
Did you
Sky.
forget what you were saying for a minute then?
Just for a second, yeah. I am very tired. Just all the social media, Blue Sky, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or email us at me, the wife, and wrexhamafc@gmail.com. I'm just looking at the picture, because obviously it's a very different set today. I might put the email address at the top here for this week.
Yeah.
This feels like admin that we should be discussing.
It does.
At another time. Obviously the weekend roundup is we are promoted. 89 points with a game to go. In third at the moment, for anybody who cares,
Mad.
is Stockport. They're on 84 points. Wickham are now fourth, also on 84 points. Charlton are fifth on 82. And the final playoff spot is obviously, that is going to be one of 2 teams. And that goes down to the final day. 2 teams on 75 points. That is Leyton Orient and Reading. I think for me, for Reading to do it would be mind-blowing. The season that the stuff they've had to go through, that would be such an achievement if they managed to do that. So I'm not saying I prefer one or the other. The reason we're talking about this, and we will talk about the playoffs while they're going on in the podcast, is one of these teams are going to join us in the Championship next season, and we will face them.
Let us know who you would prefer to be joining us in the Championship next season.
Yes, so let's talk about the Championship a little bit.
Okay.
So some teams are confirmed to be in the Championship next season. They are West Brom, Swansea, Watford, Sheffield Wednesday, Norwich, QPR, Portsmouth, and Oxford United. Also, the 3 relegated Premier League teams, which have all been confirmed, are Southampton, Leicester, and Ipswich. And obviously the other confirmed team in the Championship are Birmingham, who have already been promoted
And us.
from. Well, yeah, obviously, and us.
And
yes.
us. Should have gone with that first.
We've got a Welsh derby next season, so North versus South again, like we had with Newport in League 2. So it'll be Wrexham versus Swansea. It'll be the first Welsh derby, Wrexham versus Swansea, since 2003. 22 years we've been waiting for that.
I hate when people put a number on like years to what it is now, because it makes me feel
I
so
know.
old.
Doesn't feel 22 years ago, that, does it? Our son, just to mention, is absolutely gutted.
He is devastated.
Because Cardiff got relegated from the Championship on Saturday, just gone. He was really looking forward to us going up and playing Cardiff and us going down to Cardiff. He's been to Cardiff a couple of times and he
Swansea,
loves it.
not so much.
No, but we'll do our best to do the Swansea one.
Yeah.
One thing that popped into my head late last night, after many drinks, is next season in the FA Cup, we will only join the competition in the third round. So
Can you imagine getting to like the final of the FA Cup?
let's just not worry too much about that at the moment. But it's crazy to think that over the last few years, when we've been playing so well, all we've been sort of striving for as fans is the team to get us to round 3 so that we can maybe pick up a big Premier League team. And I think now, to know that we're entering the competition in round 3, and so that all of them Premier League teams are on the table straight away is exciting.
It is exciting.
It is exciting. So yeah.
Scary, but exciting.
For anybody who didn't realise that, Premier League and Championship teams, as I say, don't join the FA Cup competition until the third round. We've been, for years and years and years, we've been very used to playing in the qualifying rounds for this.
Yeah.
More recent years, we've been very used to playing in round 1 of the FA Cup. But as I say, from moving forward, we'll be joining from the third round. Well, certainly next season anyway. So very exciting. We'll talk about Lincoln. We'll just, we got one game left. Respect to the game that you've got left. We'll talk about that. What are your expectations for next season?
Next season, I think obviously it is a massive leap. Like I've said this before, like going from like National League to League 2, it's a big jump. League 2 to League 1, it's bigger. But League 1 to Championship, it is massive. And, we've got to start looking at, the wage bill's probably going to go up a bit, a lot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's quite a scary prospect. But I think if we can... I know people said this last season, this season, sorry, we haven't even finished the season yet. People like, at the beginning of the season, they were like mid-table or playoffs, we'll be happy with that. But I genuinely think, for me anyway, aim for the stars. But if we manage to stay in the Championship and not get relegated back to League 1, I think that is just a massive achievement. But, because there is so many good teams in the Championship.
Yeah, there's massive teams.
Massive teams.
Luckily, we've got...
Who will be disappointed to come to our little old ground.
I mean, there's some huge ones, that we are gonna face, potentially face, and I don't know. I don't know, if I'm honest. It's so hard. I would love... Can you imagine going back to back to back to back?
It's possible. Why not?
It is. It's so hard to predict something because you just don't know. We might not have hardly any of this squad next season. You just don't know. You might end up with a completely new team, and it's very hard to work out, how it's going to go. I think I'm sort of with you. I don't think the League 2 campaign was a time to be consolidating. I don't think the League 1 campaign was a time to be consolidating. But I might have to hold my hand up this time and go, okay, maybe this is the time to go where I'm not expecting too much. I'm just, let's stay there.
Yeah.
Let's stay there. And I've got a very similar outlook to that I had at the start of this season, where let's get to 40, 45 points. The quicker you can get to them points, that's when you build and you move on. Because 40, 45 points, that's safety. 45-ish, 45 to 50 probably is safe. So let's get there. And then we can relax a little bit and push on. The quicker you get to that amount, we did it before Christmas this season.
We did.
So
still possible.
So let's just see. I think for me, I'm excited by some unconfirmed teams at the moment. Sunderland, I've never been to Sunderland. I would love to go to Sunderland. They've got a massive ground. Excited by the prospect of that one. Although Sunderland are currently in the playoff places, so they might be gone by the time we get there. Millwall's another one. I have been to Millwall's ground before, but I would like to go there again. Again, they are in the mix for the playoffs as well, so we don't know about that one. You did mention this, I think it was this morning actually, you said, I'd quite like to go to Luton.
It was last night.
Yeah.
But yeah, just purely because you see so much like things going on about their stadium and stuff that they have to walk through a house.
Yeah.
And I'd quite like to do that.
Yeah. There's plenty of Wrexham fans who've been to Luton. You know, obviously we face them in the National League, so that will be, you know, that'll be quite unique. Obviously, they're in a relegation fight at the moment.
Yeah.
They're looking good at the moment, but they are in a relegation fight. And our son is quite keen to go to now Cardiff are gone. I think he's quite keen to go to Bristol City.
That's because he loved going to Bristol.
Because he loved going to Bristol, and
he just hopes that it's near a Christmas game, a Christmas game again. Because
because he really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And but obviously Bristol City are in the playoffs as well, in and around that. So
how weird would it be? Because you know, obviously, I can't remember how Bristol are doing. Bristol Rovers are doing in League One.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going down?
Well, they're down the bottom.
Okay. I was going to say that'll be a derby for you, Bristol Rovers and Bristol City.
Yeah, they're not even close to each other, so yeah, don't worry.
What do you mean they're not close to each other?
Standings, not as in location.
Oh, I was going to say, they're in Bristol, aren't they?
Yeah. Look, a little bit of news, just to tie everything up. The TST is coming. That is going to be on between the 4th and 9th of June. That's in Cary, North Carolina. I do like the TST. I shouldn't call it the TST. I do like TST. So I'm quite excited for that. And just congratulations. This is a bit preemptive because we don't know he's finished yet, because I think he's still running while we're recording. But I'm going to say congratulations to Humphrey for running and completing the marathon. So hopefully,
because he will complete it.
I hope so.
Eventually.
Yes, unless what Paul Mullin and all of them players said came true, and
that would be on them, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And one thing that people might wonder why we haven't mentioned is because when we're recording this, it hasn't started yet. So for us now in this world, good luck to the Wrexham women's team in the final of the Welsh Cup. Unfortunately, by the time this comes out, it will have already been played yesterday. So
and they'll bring home the trophy as well.
We will talk about that next week.
Yes.
We will, 100%. Look, if you do want to support the show, you can do it by buying us a coffee. And the way that you do that is you visit buymeacoffee.com/me the wife. Massive thank you this week to Darren Hillman and also to Chris Wilms for supporting the show. We love you both. We love you all.
We do.
Fancy EFL update.
Boring.
Same. Ben Parker's first, Ian Dougal's second, C. Williams in third. Let's move on. Lincoln.
Right, so this is our last game of the season. It's the 46th game of the season, and it's on Saturday the 3rd of May. Kickoff is at 3 o'clock British summer time. It's away at Sincil Bank. The capacity for their stadium is 10,669. We've been allocated 1,790 tickets. We got 3 of those tickets.
And the rest have sold out.
It's 130 miles away, which is about 3 hours, so it's not too bad, but we're going to be staying over because it's just easier. They play in red and white. They play in red with white sleeves. Their away shirt is white with a black sash. I don't know. I keep thinking about this shirt, and I like it.
I hate it.
Well, each their own, innit? And then their third shirt is black. So I'm assuming they're going to be playing their red shirt on Saturday. So we'll obviously play in black or gold.
Yeah.
The last time we faced them was on the 26th of November, where we won 1-0. That was obviously at the Stoke Kairas. And yeah, it was a good game.
I don't know. It was an own goal, wasn't it? So it was McLean's sort of driven cross, and it came off the defender. I want to say his name was Darinkwa.
I can remember, but I can't remember what his name is.
I'm not sure. They lost 3-2 to Stockport on Saturday after being 2-0 up. They're 11th on 61 points. They've won 16, drawn 13, and lost 16 this season. Last 5, they've won true. Last 5, they've won 2, drawn 2, and lost 1. Who plays?
Paul Mullen, as much as it pains me, Ollie Palmer, Tom O'Connell, basically all the people that have not had that many, and obviously, you know, I would say Mo Farl as well, but he's just had an operation, so he's going to be out.
He won't be playing, no.
You know, maybe put Callum Burton in goal.
Right, I'm gonna rain on your parade because history dictates.
He's going to put exactly the same team as he put.
Yeah, history dictates. So when we played Crewe after we got promoted last season,
same team,
normal starting lineup. When we played, I think it was Torquay after we got promoted against Borough Mud, exactly the same team. He hasn't done it the last 2 seasons, so I can't imagine him doing it this time.
Where's the question then?
I think Harry Ashfield's got to be involved though, hasn't he?
Okay, maybe the starting 11 stays as is.
Yeah.
But yeah, bring Harry Ashfield on, bring Paul Mullen on, bring Ollie Palmer on. You know,
I'd start Ashfield. I would. I think I'd start Harry Ashfield. Just throw him into it. Let's see what happens. What's the worst that can happen?
Well, we know that he's proven himself, you know, in the cup games and things like that. So I think he could definitely hold his own.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't see why not.
Start him, Phil. Do you think Phil deserves a statue, by the way?
Yeah. When they build this new stand.
Better get him a statue.
Yeah.
100%. I think so. One other question about Lincoln.
No.
Why?
Because I don't want to.
Siân, we've been married for a long time, so Siân knows the question I'm going to ask. And the question is, are you going in fancy dress?
I might get a red wig.
That is the most boring thing you have ever said.
Well, I am. When it comes to, I am boring. I might get a bucket hat. Also, I don't know. I'm not dressing. No. I think I've dressed up in fancy dress once, and that was for my brother's 40th birthday, which happened during lockdown, so nobody saw me apart from my family.
Yeah, have you still got that outfit?
Probably somewhere.
There you go then.
I'm not going as Penelope Pitstop.
Why not? Right. Leave a comment.
Don't ask everybody.
Leave a no one's.
This is Lion King.
No one's talking to you.
This is Lion King all over again.
So leave a comment. Who thinks that we should go to Lincoln in? I am.
You crack on.
Who thinks that we both should go to Lincoln in fancy dress? Leave a comment.
Go as Barbie and Ken then.
No, because they're dressed really boring.
If you buy me an outfit,
get lost.
Then I'll wear it, but I'm not spending my...
If you think we should go in fancy dress, leave a comment, get in touch on social media, and I might even do another sneaky little post and do a poll.
Oh my Christ.
Yeah, maybe. Prediction. Come on, do a prediction.
3-0. I'm good.
3-0.
Yeah, 3-0. Why not? It's worked for me on 2 games.
I'm going to go mental. I'm going to go 4-3.
Yeah?
Why not? Doesn't matter. And when am I getting my trophy as well?
I don't know. Probably never, to be fair.
Wow, I presented it to you and everything.
Only because I told you to.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm telling you to. Quick shout out for Dragon Chat. It's a mental health peer support group. They do 2 weekly Zoom calls. One is on a Monday at 8 p.m. and that is for women. The other is on Thursday at 7 p.m. and that is for men. If you want to find out how to get on them calls, if you're watching us on YouTube, all the details are down in the description. Alternatively, go to the Wrexham AFC website, go to the Communities tab, and then scroll down to Health, scroll down again, and you'll find Dragon Chat. Alternatively, you can follow them on social media. They are at Dragon Chat WXMFC on X or at dragonchat.bsky.social on Blue Sky. It's quiz time.
Are we doing anagrams again?
We're not doing anagrams this week. I was thinking of doing anagrams.
You haven't given me an anagram of the day either.
I didn't, did I?
You are rubbish.
Right.
Don't promise me things you can't keep, Ryan.
I will. I'll start. We'll do an anagram of the day.
We won't.
Okay. Yeah, we will.
We're back to work tomorrow after a week off, so I can't see it, to be fair.
No, I'll do it. I promised last week, and I didn't. So.
Yeah.
Okay, question 1. We were promoted last season with a 6-0 win against Forest Green Rovers. But which of the following didn't score on that day? Paul Mullin, Jack Marriott, Elliot Lee, or Ollie Palmer?
Ollie Palmer.
It is Ollie Palmer. Well done. The other 3 did score. Number 2. We were promoted 2 seasons ago against Boreham Wood. But who didn't play in that game? Jacob Mendy, Max Cleworth, Ryan Barnett, or Tom O'Connor?
Max Cleworth. No, not Max Cleworth, because I know that he did. Or did he? Tom O'Connor.
Should have stuck with your first one.
Was it Max
It was
Cleworth?
Matt Cleworth. He didn't play in that game. No. Question 3. Last season we were promoted with 2 games to spare. Name one of the 2 teams we played and beat in the last 2 games of the season.
I want to say Torquay.
No, last season.
Oh, was that? Oh.
That was the National League. So I'm letting you off there.
Oh, crap.
So League 2, who were the last 2 games after we'd already been promoted, and we beat both of them. I think I've mentioned one of them. The game in particular.
Newport.
Incorrect. No, we beat Crewe 3-1 away, and we beat Stockport 2-1 at home on the last day of the season. 2 out of 3. Can you name 3 players that have been part of back-to-back-to-back?
They not necessarily have to be in the starting 11. They just have to be down on the website as a player.
They would have had to have played at least 1 game in each one of these seasons.
Okay, Paul Mullen.
Correct.
Ollie Palmer.
Correct.
Max Cleworth.
Correct. Well done. There's quite a few others.
I know.
Ryan Barnett, Andy Cannon, Mark Howard, Elliot Lee, Jacob Mendy, Owen O'Connor, Tom O'Connor. Sam Dalby, I suppose, would be in that as well because he played first game, came on as a sub against Wickham first game of the season. Anyway, well done. 3 out of 4. Number 5. How many Wrexham players in our promotion clinching games against Boreham... Sorry, I'm going to have to read that again. I wrote the question. I've read it wrong. How many Wrexham players played in our promotion clinching games against Boreham Wood, Forest Green and Charlton? Okay. 0, 1, 2 or 3?
2.
Incorrect. It's 0. So no players played in all 3 of them games. Good attempt. 3 out of 5, I think that was.
2 out of 5?
3 out of 5. I think I'll give you... Yeah, you got the 3 players. You got questions 1 and 2.
Okay.
It's 2 out of 5, yeah. I was giving you too much credit. Look, it's been an amazing weekend. We hope this sort of, us recording here hasn't been too much of a sort of hindrance
it's
to
playing
enjoying.
with Ryan's OCD, put it that way.
Yeah, I don't like it, and
I like it because I'm comfier. Those chairs that we had before, which I've now sold.
Yeah.
They were not the comfiest.
No, they weren't. So
we've got comfy chairs now for when we do our podcast.
Yes, we have.
That's good.
So fingers crossed. Best endeavours and all that. Next week we will have our new studio all ready to go. As we are away in Lincoln on the weekend, there is a chance we will be back recording like this just for 1 more week. But
I hope not.
We will wait and see.
Yeah.
Look, we hope you've enjoyed the show.
And the ride.
And the ride, yes. And we will... We'll see you again next week, guys. But please do join us for our live on YouTube, pre-game and post-game down at Lincoln. Get involved. Yeah. See you then.
Have a good week.
Bye-bye.